Welcome to the Chelsea Skidmore Show. I'm here today with my guest, comedian and friend, Ari Mannis.
What a cute intro.
Really?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys. It was just like,
I do
cute.
that every time. I hate, I notice whenever I make videos on Instagram too, I'm always like, hey guys. I don't know when I became this
real cutesy. Yeah. It's like just your personality.
I feel like the girl from
You're
8th grade. Did you see that Bo Burnham movie?
No, I want to see it though.
I feel like her when I'm like, hey guys, hey internet fam.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just became like
it's your personality.
Thing I'm used to doing.
Your internet persona.
How are you this morning?
I'm good. I had a Airbnb person check out of my apartment this morning.
So you rent out one of your bedrooms to an Airbnb
my second
person.
Bedroom, and these people, I just didn't want to interact with them. So I pretended to be asleep in my room until they left.
That's basically what guys do when they have sex with a girl and they want her to leave.
I don't know if I've ever done that.
Okay, so every guy has done that to me.
My move to get a girl to leave is to wake up really early and say I have to go to work.
There's that, or pretending they're so tired they can't even look at you. And you're like, I guess I should go. Should I go?
Yeah, maybe I have done that. I can't remember now. But yeah, I did that with these people checking out. So I was up at 9 a.m., but I stayed in my room till like 11:30.
Because the checkout.
The checkout was at 11.
Why didn't you want to face them? Any particular reason?
They sent me a text early in the morning saying, hey, I know checkout's at 11, but can we leave our bags in your living room? Because our flight isn't till tonight.
No, because this isn't a hotel lobby.
This isn't a hotel lobby, and I just didn't want to deal with them asking me that in person and me saying...
And you wrote no
yes
in the text.
No. I didn't respond because it was early in the morning, so I just pretended to sleep. And then they checked out at 11, and they took their stuff with them.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I know my mom Airbnbs, I don't know how to say it as a verb, her apartment sometimes. And people break couches, they do all types of fucked up shit.
There's horror cases. I have a wine spill on one of my chairs in the dining room.
Do you say horror cases?
Horror and horror.
Okay.
Horror and horror cases. But I'd say overall, it's very good, and people are typically respectful. I'm surprised your mom does that because isn't she rich?
No.
Oh, I thought she was for some reason.
Don't you have a lot? But what about all your electronics?
One time, a horror story, I went to Mexico for my friend's bachelor party on a cruise ship, a 3-day cruise to Ensenada, Mexico. And while I was gone, I rented out my entire apartment. And I get back, and the place had been ransacked, burglarized.
Oh, my God.
Guitars off the wall, missing. My gun, missing. Camera lenses, missing. Audio recording equipment.
Oh, I remember this.
Robbed. And it was a horror story. And it was a horrible feeling.
Did you get reimbursed?
I got reimbursed.
How much?
That was probably the worst Airbnb experience I've had. How much? I think it was... I had to show receipts. It was very annoying. But I had to look up receipts for everything, and I think all in all it was $10,000 worth of things.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't want to do it after that.
If Airbnb didn't make the process, as helpful as they could, and they tried to, correct it, if they weren't so accommodating, I wouldn't do it again. But because they said, listen, this barely happens. We want to make things right. We're going to replace everything that got taken. I was like, okay, I can handle this.
So did you watch Leaving Neverland?
I watched the first half. I haven't finished it yet.
What do you think?
It was, okay, before watching it, I've been hearing people talking about it, and if you haven't heard, spoiler alert, Michael Jackson's a pedophile.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's heard those rumors, but I think me included, I always like to think the best of people. And I was like, I don't know him. I don't know the story. It could be people trying to get money from him. Who knows? In my head, I was like, maybe he liked kids. Maybe he was a pedophile. Maybe he wasn't. I just wasn't convinced. He wasn't proven guilty in
before
court.
you saw the documentary.
Before I saw the documentary, I'm like, he never went to jail, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, if he didn't go to jail, I trust America. They definitely went to court for it. So if he didn't go to jail, maybe he didn't do it. I didn't think he was for sure innocent, but I was like, looking at the best. 10 minutes into the documentary, I go, oh yeah, he's a pedophile. He definitely did it. It was believable. So if not, I definitely believe the guys.
You finished the first part you said?
Part 1.
Okay, yeah. It drives me crazy how some people are like, I don't know. It's like, are you fucking crazy?
Yeah, I mean, why would it shows these two amazingly normal men, actually.
I feel so bad. I feel so bad for them, but that one guy is not okay. James Safechuck.
Maybe it reveals that in part 2. In part 1, they seemed pretty okay. Like, obviously, they don't like to think back at those devastating events of when they were molested by a pop god, but you look at them, they're married.
One of them was legitimately like his boyfriend.
It seemed like they both kind of were. Like, he loved them.
So crazy.
Yeah, it's this pedophilia, sex underworld. But yeah, but also I'll say this. So that was my first impression. Right away, I am now convinced Michael Jackson was indeed a pedophile. There's no doubt in my mind, at least.
Yeah.
But it was 2 hours of this thing, and after 15 minutes, we get it. And then it went on for an hour and 45 more minutes.
Yeah.
After 15 minutes, he had sex with little boys.
I was with Brent Weinbach yesterday, and he brought up an interesting point. He was like, okay, I definitely believe he is, but like, I'm wondering, do we not listen to his, like, do we just boycott all of his music, or is certain albums of his okay up until like bad?
Here's what I'll say.
Like, is Thriller just on the cusp and everything before then is okay?
Oh, because like maybe he wasn't a pedophile at a certain point
and
in
he
his
was
career.
more of a child back then, and the music.
I think that no one should, or I'm not going to boycott his music. If his music plays, I can still enjoy it and separate it from his actions in his life. That being said, I don't think that his music should be played on soundtracks or on the radio. I do think it should be boycotted there, because when it plays on those things, it could bring trauma to obviously the people who were affected directly with him, but also just people who are molested and affected by pedophilia in general.
It feels like celebratory.
If not celebratory, it just reminds them of something that happened in their life, traumatic in their life. So, I don't know you that well, but I imagine that you were molested. I've always looked at you and thought that you were probably molested.
Does everyone,
when you were a kid.
Whenever anyone talks to you on a podcast, you just get them to talk about being molested?
No, because not everyone was molested.
Yeah, I was.
But yeah, I
was.
So I could tell that by looking at you.
You know what I just realized that's so fucking weird?
What?
Okay, so I was molested when I lived in Japan when I was a kid. And I don't remember much about it. I was like 4 years old. And I don't remember.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll get to your molestation right after.
I wasn't molested. But
I don't believe that. And they would lure. It was my next door neighbor, and
was he Japanese?
I can't remember. I think he was.
Does that make it kind of grosser?
I can't remember all the details, but it was a guy who was weird.
They don't shave their private parts.
It was a guy and his older, like his mom, who was like a grandma type. Mm-hmm. And they would lure me over with these dolls, and they would get me to come over and play with these dolls. And I'm afraid of dolls. And now it makes sense. I know why I'm afraid of dolls.
Oh, you're still afraid of dolls. Dolls are also kind of creepy. Certain dolls are just kind of creepy. But then
I just made that connection right now. And it's like, oh, dolls traumatize me. Maybe it's because of that.
Right.
I never thought of that.
So I'm not saying this for you particularly, but you can comment on it. So as a victim of molestation, when a Michael Jackson song comes up now to you, do you want to hear that?
I was never a huge Michael Jackson fan.
But nonetheless, if we were in the car right now and Michael Jackson came on the radio, would that bother you at all?
I'd be like, too soon.
So it would, a little bit.
I might feel sensitive to it. I'm not sure. I normally turn the station when Michael Jackson comes on anyways.
Got it. Just because you weren't a fan.
I don't know. I just was like, I feel like I'm, there's not many like me.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge
true. You're
Jackson
a comedian
fan.
too, and you're, you can take a joke.
Yeah.
But you could see how not just someone who was molested by Michael Jackson, but just someone that was molested in general would hear a Michael Jackson song and go, I don't want to hear that.
Well, it's weird, like, with all these people, because it's, all these people kind of like, Me Too stuff. Like Kevin Spacey, for example. Like, I still like Kevin Spacey. And I think some people are trying to figure out if they can separate the art from the person.
Yeah. And I think I can.
Yeah.
but I understand if someone can't. So therefore, I do understand if they don't play Kevin Spacey movies on TV anymore.
Totally.
It wouldn't be like, that's bullshit. They should keep playing his stuff. No, I don't think they should delete his stuff from existence. If someone wants to go watch it, they should be able to watch it without being scrutinized for wanting to watch a good movie.
Yeah. I didn't watch the R. Kelly interview.
I haven't seen that yet either.
But I did watch the documentary.
Oh, that's what I meant. I haven't seen it.
Did you? Oh. Yeah, I mean, he's gnarly. That feels like...
Worse than Jackson, you think?
I don't want to say it's worse because they're both bad.
Yeah. It's not a competition. It's not a.
But
it's not a
I guess it's
interesting.
Yeah, it's. I don't know.
They're both bad. They're both.
I don't
they're
know.
both sick.
I'm a little hazy. I'm on an. Do you take any like medications?
I don't. No.
I just started taking one, and I'm on like day 4.
Do you take it because your husband started taking it? Did that influence you into taking it?
I don't. I don't know. It might have made it be like, well, I guess I could take a pill. So I have like insomnia. That's what was described as kind of episodic. Like if I have like an audition the next day, or if I have like
keeps you up.
A show like with a long set, and I'm like going over the order of things, I get like a little bit of an OCD anxiety with memorization.
I think I have that too.
You do?
I think everyone does, or most people.
But like I get it like kind of bad where I literally can't sleep. Like at all. And then I wake up feeling like crazy.
Yeah, but you take medication every single day because of that?
No, so
you take pill on those
I just kind of had like a couple of incidents in a short amount of time where I was like, I feel like I need a sleeping pill.
I'll say this. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
Some people like to call me one, but I'm not.
Really?
No one calls me
Dr.
one.
Ari Mannis?
My dad is. I'm
is
not. Yeah, my dad's an emergency room doctor.
Oh.
Or was. He's retired now. I do listen to a lot of Loveline, or I did when it was a show. I don't want my advice to be taken on paper, but I don't think you should take a pill for that. I think that's part of being a human being.
Yeah.
You're kind of taking the easy way of, maybe a pill can fix this. Man up.
I take melatonin, but sometimes it's to the point of me being fixated in like an OCD way where it's like, I feel like I don't know.
You got to put on meditation. You got to, because number one, I don't think this is a good, healthy solution for the problem, but also two,
I'm
you
sober,
could become
so it's not
dependent
like
on it.
No, this is a non-addictive pill.
Yeah, but I mean dependent on it, meaning whenever you have a night where you have an audition next day or a show, you're gonna be like, all right, it's time for my pill. Not always.
It's more just like I was going through like a period of insomnia. So anyways, it's kind of take as needed, but for the first week, you're supposed to take it every night.
Got it.
And then you take
how your body reacts to it.
I think so.
Gets used to it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're...
So I'm a little slow. I'm one step behind.
Right
Do
now?
I seem weird? Yeah.
No, I can't notice.
Okay. No one's been able to notice but me. So that's a good sign.
I think you're good, but I do think you should stop taking
I
those
already
pills.
have to pee again.
Go for it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. You have a very organized bathroom, and we're back.
We're back. Yeah, I keep my place fairly clean. I would like to even make it cleaner and tidy things up and get rid of some of the clutter and junk, but I do like a clean place for my own. You're
good at organizing. The bathroom, like I noticed I doubt you've ever taken a bath, but the presentation, is that for the ladies or for the Airbnb customers?
It's for me, honestly.
Really?
And I think other people get to reap the benefits.
I'm already reaping it.
Yeah.
And I don't even have to get into the tub.
Yeah.
It made me feel just as good.
Yeah, I like to it's like I've maybe used a bathtub in my apartment once or twice, but I like knowing that I could go take one.
So I think I think you're a host.
Yeah, I'm a host. I like to host people. I like to have events. I like.
But if you think about like, I wouldn't say archetypes of a person. Like the term I'm trying to come up with is escaping me, which is also like a fun phrase I just recently like to start saying.
Archetype?
No, escape me.
Escape me.
I've noticed other people have been like, it's escaping me, and it made me laugh. And then I was like, I want to say that.
Escaping me. Yeah. I'm a natural born host.
Yeah, you're a natural born host.
I don't know where I got it from. I think my parents like to host a little bit.
Really?
And, I like to host within reason. When I say a natural born host, I don't want to have parties here every night. I don't want to host people every time. I like my me time.
I would never want to have people over.
Ever. Not much.
Unless it was like a dinner, not like a party. If I still drank, I would, but in sobriety, I don't want to try to figure out how to tell people to leave.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't drink. I'm not sober like you. Maybe I'll have a drink.
One drink.
If everyone around me is drinking, I'll have a drink, maybe two, but it's never my idea to drink. I'm not a drinker.
What about growing up? To fit
Same
in
thing.
high school?
Yeah, to fit in college. My freshman year, I would go out and drink, but it's never been my thing. I've never called myself a drinker. I've never had any sort of drinking problem whatsoever, and I think anyone around me could vouch for that too.
That's cool.
I think I've never blacked out.
Wow.
I've maybe had a couple of nights where I puked.
Whoa.
But that's the worst of it.
So on the subject of hosting, on your website, you offer the layout of a first date.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I'll tell you how that happened. There's a mutual friend of ours, or I don't know if you guys are friends, with Becky Robinson.
Yeah.
And her sister was in town one day. And I met her. And actually, I'll tell you why I think we ended up making out. And I'll tell you why I think we made out. Why I think it did it. So the next day, I was flying to Australia to meet this girl that I had met here.
Shut the fuck up. I didn't know you did this.
Yeah, I met an Australian girl at one of my shows, and we made out into the night. Didn't have sex, nothing. I took her to a Dodgers game. We made out. It was very romantic. We had a nice time together. And I needed to see her again. But she lived in Australia. She had flown back to Australia. And so I said, I'm going to come to Australia to see you. And I planned this trip. And I was going to do stand-up too.
How long did you go? How many times did you hang out with her?
When I was in Australia?
Yeah.
A lot. No.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. But it went amazing. It was like one of the best months of my life. I was doing sold-out shows for money for stand-up. And this was when in America I wasn't getting a lot of paid spots, maybe a little bit here and there. But
I heard stand-up is great there.
Yeah, it was some of the best stand-up I've ever gotten to do. I was with this beautiful Australian girl who liked me, and we were hooking up in Australia, in another country while I was doing it. It was the best month.
Isn't everyone really hot there?
There's a lot of attractive people, and they're nice, and they're attracted to American accents.
Wow.
So it was an amazing month, and we even kept Skyping for like 6 months after that, because I came back here.
Skyping?
Yeah, so we'd talk over Skype, stay in touch.
know. I don't know. There's something creepy about Skyping. Do you still have an AOL email address? I could see you still using one.
No, I think they even shut it down. I don't think AIM even, if I wanted to, I could. But we'd Skype till like 5 a.m. because of the time zone. So I'd stay up till 5 a.m. Skyping with this girl for like 6 months. And then eventually she's like, hey, I'm not moving to America. What are we doing? she got smart.
Yeah.
But so the night before I was leaving to see that girl, I was hanging out at a bar with Becky and her sister. Uh-huh. And her sister was attracted to the fact that I was going to Australia to see a girl.
Okay.
We didn't talk about that directly.
What gave you that idea?
Well, we ended up making out that night. Okay. The day before I was leaving to see a girl. That makes me sound like a less romantic guy. But whatever. We did. It happened. That's just my truth.
Okay.
And looking back now, that happened because she was attracted to how romantic I was. Or she wanted what she couldn't have or whatever.
You're romantic as well.
I'm a romantic, and I think she just, whatever, her guard was down. Uh-huh. Whatever the reason is. That happened. We made out. So then, after me and this Australian girl broke up, I thought to myself, hey, Becky's sister was beautiful. We kissed. I think she was into me. I'm going to try and woo her.
Can I take my shoes off for this?
Yes.
Because I want to get comfortable.
Get comfortable.
So
I thought to myself, I want to woo Becky's sister, Sarah.
Did she say to you, though, what would we do if we went on a date?
No. She said to me, hey, she's a traveling nurse, or she was. I haven't talked to her in a long time. She said, I'm going to be stationed in San Diego for a few months. And I said, I'm from San Diego.
La Jolla?
No, I'm from Del Mar area.
Okay.
But close. It's 20 minutes from La Jolla. I said, I'm from San Diego. Why don't you let me take you around and show you my hometown? And she goes, that'd be fun. So I was like, cool. So then I wrote together this whole
pitch.
It wasn't a pitch. It was like, I just thought it would be a cute, funny thing to write. So I wrote, go on a date with Ari in his hometown of San Diego, see all the sights. So I wrote down like basically all my favorite things that I thought we could do in one day. And it was, I'll be honest, it was like a date starting at noon and like ending at midnight. It was like a full packed day/date.
Now let me stop you for a second. Had you grown up watching those kind of what was like Millionaire Matchmaker or like The Bachelor or like shows where they kind of lay out an entire date?
No, I know of them. I'm sure I've had seen them subconsciously, but I wasn't thinking at all about that. Because that's what that
feels like to me. It feels like a TV show date.
It could be like a TV show
yours
date.
Yours was like tell me an example of what a day was like so we get
I can't remember it exactly, but it was something like, so we wake up at noon, we start off the date by going indoor rock climbing, because I was really into rock climbing at that point. We'll go indoor rock climbing. Then once we've gotten our sweat and worked up an appetite, I'll take you to my favorite Mexican place for lunch. And then once we finish lunch, we'll go cliff diving into the water and then go to the top of Mount Soledad and look out at the view overlooking all of San Diego. After that, we'll go back to Ari's parents' house and we'll take a jacuzzi together and then we'll cuddle into the night and watch movies. It was just like it had it all laid out.
Yeah, that's a television level date.
Yeah. So I wrote it and I made it funny, I put little quips and remember, I had already made out with this girl at a bar.
Now, did you take her on one of these dates?
No, I freaked her out.
I think a girl... Okay, so girls always say they want to be with a romantic guy.
But they don't. Oh, yeah, they don't.
But I think if a girl was faced with a day of these,
she'd have a good time.
Kind of an opportunity that some girls might feel afraid.
Yeah, I would say most girls would feel afraid, or at least maybe not in the moment, but if they're set out with like weeks in advance, here's what we're going to do. They're like, this is a little much.
And like, I'm trying to like, as a girl now think to myself, why is it that we would be? I think it's vulnerable.
Yeah, they're scared. It's a lot of pressure. It's a big commitment. When you go get a drink with the guy, if you don't like him, okay, great seeing you. You have one drink. It's over.
Have you ever, so then you put this date up on your website.
I put it on my website because I was proud of it after I was finished.
It's amazing. Yeah. With a tab called A Date with Ari.
Yeah.
Have you been on a date with any girl that has consisted of
that date?
Of that or
I've
date
not taken
of similar
anyone
nature?
On that. No, I've never had like a plan and taken on it. I've had full days with girls where we do a bunch of things, but no, I've never, that date I've never done. And I hope to one day
and
find the right person.
I love how you think of like the most romantic possible situation. You're like, and then at sunset, we will have a picnic of your favorite wine overlooking a cliff that's like at the best viewpoint.
Yeah, of all San Diego. It was like exactly where the movie Anchorman was shot, where he takes that girl up in the car. That's Mount Soledad.
Yeah.
That was a spot that I took my high school girlfriend.
Yeah.
So like, we'll go there. We'll have a picnic.
When you take a girl out on a date, have you ever heard, this is the best date I've ever been on, Ari?
I've never heard this is the best date I've ever been on. I don't think that, but I've heard I had a wonderful time. I can't wait to see you again.
And did you see those girls again?
Most of the time. I've also recently, actually, last month, I took out a girl on a date. All we did was get Thai food and frozen yogurt. But the end date, I leaned over and I kissed her, and she didn't block the kiss. She kissed me, and she said I had a really great time. Let's definitely do this again.
And where are you guys at now?
And then she ghosted me.
Yeah, what a bitch.
And I'm like, first off, this girl was like 31.
Okay, so it's like,
I think if you're over 25, you're not allowed to ghost anymore. Come up with at least a fake excuse.
Is that a joke you have?
No.
This is a really great point.
Yeah, I think, and that goes for guys too, obviously, because ghosting happens with men and women.
That I think that's such a good point though, because I think, people want to get, when they're ready to start getting serious, and they can't figure out why they're single, it points to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not blaming myself for being ghosted.
Okay.
Or pointing it to myself.
I meant them. I meant the girl. Girls complain about like not being. So you're a single girl who's 31 ghosted you. I do agree that that's inappropriate because it's like,
especially after we go on a date, we kiss, and she says, "I can't wait to see you again." It's like she didn't need to say any of that.
Yeah.
She could have blocked my kiss. She could have kissed me and then said that was fun. I don't know. So I reached out to her again, of course. And then she completely ignored me. It's like, just say, hey, I'm not looking to get serious. I think you're cool, but I think we should just be friends. Whatever. It could be any bullshit you want to say, but just give me a little bit of closure. Yeah. Ghosting, I found it very insulting. And then what's even more awkward is I passed by her once in town, just at a place we go to, and it's like I was still so insulted. I didn't say hi to her. I didn't give her a fake hug. Nothing. I was rude. Not rude. I just didn't.
Now we know why.
I'm insulted.
I'm insulted.
So I think if you're over 25, man up. Mm-hmm. Whether you're a guy or a girl, man up and say that to that person. No thanks.
A girlfriend of mine, I won't name names, but she started asking guys why so like if she went out with a guy and had a good time with them and then they were like, I don't think I want to see you again, or they ghost her,
she'd say why. I've had girls do that to me.
She'll follow up and say, hey, like, no hard feelings, totally understand, I just want to know for myself so I can make adjustments in the future with other people. Is there a reason why you don't want to go out with me again?
No, I don't agree with that either. Because
that's like too much.
It's a little much. It makes them look a little crazy, even though it doesn't matter at that point because they're not seeing that person, but it still makes them look a little crazy. And also, I've had girls do that to me.
Really?
And I don't answer honestly. I'm not going to say to a girl, oh yeah, I didn't see you again because your breath smelled or you had a big bush, or
have you hooked up with a girl who had a big bush?
Yeah, I'm just listing up reasons of why I've ended things with girls, or your tits were lopsided, or you were clearly emotionally unstable.
Did you go down on the girl with the big bush?
No.
Do you go down on girls?
I do, but I'm not the guy that does it every time or loves it. Like if I like the girl and she has a good-looking vagina.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it, but I'm not. Some guys, it's like their thing. It's not my thing.
I was just trying to think of like a really good date.
I'd say your husband. It's his thing.
Going down?
Yeah.
How'd you know?
Because we've talked about it. We're good friends.
He's obsessed with eating pussy.
Yeah, your husband loves to eat pussy. I wouldn't say I'm obsessed with it.
But he claims only mine.
There's certain girls where I'm like, I'll eat that one anytime. Yeah.
I thought of a good date that I've been on.
The best date? And
I was trying to like
husband?
rack it. I can't think of like a really great date I went on with Steven. Although he's taking me, of course, on good dates. Yeah, that was amazing, but that's different. I was thinking of a guy who's taking me on a first date if there was ever like a full date. Mm-hmm. And this one was pretty amazing. Okay. I'm going to share
How old were you?
It was a couple years ago. It's funny because I actually ended up writing an article, 50 Red Flags of a date I went on was with this guy. There was a lot of red flags.
Even though it was an amazing date.
The setups were amazing.
So that was
the second date. That was the second date.
The amazing one was the second date?
The first date was I met him at the Beverly Hills Hotel. He had a beach house in Malibu. He was very wealthy.
Okay, now I know who it is. Okay.
No, you don't. You don't know who this guy is.
Okay, continue.
He had a beach house in Malibu. Oh, no, not that guy.
Okay.
But he knew I lived in West Hollywood. So for the day, he was an alcoholic. So, of course, he had to get a hotel room. He asked me what
so
my
rich
favorite...
too, I mean.
Very rich. Yeah. He asked me what my favorite hotel was, the Beverly Hills Hotel. He got a room at the Beverly Hills Hotel so we can lay at the pool during the day. He told me, order whatever you want. I had a lobster salad. And then... we like kind of made out like after we like laid out all day, and then he picked me up.
Is he good looking?
Yeah, he was cute. He looked like David Beckham.
Good shape.
Yeah, he was in great shape.
Wow.
Then he picked me up, and then he took me to Matsuhisa, the original Nobu, the first one, for dinner. Okay. And then I think I slept, and then I think I went home after. And then
you didn't sleep with him?
No, but then the second date, I met him at his beach house in Malibu. And the first date was like a really good date.
Yeah.
But it was just it was very fancy.
Yeah, it sounds really good, but it also sounds like if I was a girl, it's a little much. Like,
but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you enjoyed it. It's a very LA date, but it's like even if I was loaded. I'm also
like one of those girls who enjoys all of those things.
Yeah. I don't know. If I was loaded, if I had $10 million in my bank account, I wouldn't want to start off with that high of a date because it's just like me for me first, and then we could use my money.
Well, obviously he had to do all that stuff because he was like an insane alcoholic and a fucking crazy person. And the second date was out of control insane.
Okay, let's hear the second date.
I mean, the second date was I met him at his beach house in Malibu. We laid out all day, and then he took me to Nobu that night for dinner. But there was all these crazy things, literally 50 red flags. Like I crashed his Bentley, and I drove his Bentley home. He didn't care.
He didn't care that you crashed it?
No, it's like, well, I didn't crash it, but I fucked up the front. Like, you know, when you go down like a hill and you can like, I'm not a hill, but you know when
you scraped it because you went down too fast down a
into
hill.
Like a garage thing.
Okay.
Like I don't know how to describe it, but I fucked up the grill.
When you go, it's like a steep hill, but it's a low car.
Yeah.
And
it was something like one of those.
Okay.
He was just like crazy. Like
to me, not getting mad at you for doing that.
I know.
Sounds
he didn't
nice,
care.
Not crazy.
He didn't care. He had like restless leg syndrome. He was completely shit faced. He grabbed Suzanne Summers in the restaurant. And he was like, she loves me.
You weren't drunk?
No, I was sober and mortified.
Got it.
He was like making this one girl like jealous the whole time.
Jealous of you?
Like jealous that he was there with another girl. It was very shady.
So there was another girl he used to see at the
who
place.
he like used to fuck and have a thing with, who was like Miss like some state.
Got it.
At the bar. He was crazy.
Yeah.
But the first date of that was like a good date.
You didn't see all the craziness until the second date.
Exactly. Like the first date was like, drunk. I was like, I'll go out with him again.
He got drunk and the crazy came out.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, at least you found out second date.
I know.
Did you still sleep with him?
No, I never hung out with him again.
Got it.
Yeah.
How'd you meet him?
Through Allie. She used to hook up with him.
And you didn't care?
No.
They used to hook up?
Or maybe they didn't. I don't know. I can't remember. I have... my brain's a little foggy right now.
Yeah.
From my medication. Now I think I'm going to stop taking it.
The medication? I think you should stop taking it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to get into your childhood and all of that, but let's quickly touch base on, so you go on the road, you feature for Theo Vaughn and Andrew Santino.
Andrew Santino, Pauly once a year maybe.
If you're doing bad.
If he's doing bad, maybe. I don't know. I feel like he hasn't taken me in a while because last time I went on the road with him, I got more girls than he did. But that could be in my head.
No, that makes sense.
But that's the only reasoning I could come up with in my head. Because now all the people he takes, I mean, I don't care. I don't need to go on the road with him. But all the people he takes are funny, nice guys, but none of them get any girls. I'm coming across on this podcast as like a real ladies' man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hope you get some dates out of it.
No, but I feel like it's making me seem like scummy. I'm looking for love.
I don't see you coming out as scummy.
I'm just talking a lot about like getting women and like hooking up with chicks, and it's like, yeah, I'm a guy and I live in a big city and I'm single, so that happens. And I'm pretty open.
You have a 2-bedroom apartment.
I have my own 2-bedroom apartment.
With a place filled with electronics.
Yeah, I have my own automobile, but
he has a garage he doesn't even use.
I have a garage, but it's like I'd much prefer to find a relationship, to find what you and Steven have, but until that happens,
I think you'll find that.
I'm open to things. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm a comedian, and I am currently at the point where I'm featuring for bigger comedians than myself.
And you just did a theater.
I just did my first theater opening for Theo Vaughn.
How was that?
We did the Cavalier Theater in Medford, Massachusetts, and then we did the Wilbur Theater, 2 sold-out shows at the Wilbur Theater in Boston, and then a show in Atlantic City, New Jersey at a theater. And it was pretty crazy. It was pretty surreal. I mean, I know none of the people were there to see me, but still to do 25 minutes in front of 1,400 people, sold-out show, it's
how does it feel different from performing at a club that seats like 500?
The difference between a theater and a club for me, and I'm not even going to say, it's not better, by the way. I didn't go off. No, I didn't go out. I didn't get off the stage thinking, holy shit, that was so much better than a club. I thought it was awesome just because I'd never done it before and there were so many people.
Yeah.
But a club is more intimate and you could see and feel people's energies more, and I like that about it. At a theater, you're performing for so many people and the spotlight's so far away and so bright that you can't even see the crowd.
Anyone.
So you're kind of performing, you're doing your performance and you've done it enough times to know, if you need to, I could do my set for you right now, even though there's no crowd, because we've done it 100 times. So I could do it, but it doesn't feel like you're doing it for people. It feels like you're performing in front of a mirror or something, and then you could hear the reaction.
I don't like that.
So there's a distance to it that makes it I think it just takes getting used to, and it was my first time. But it's definitely different, and it's definitely less intimate. And I think it kind of, for me, when I go watch concerts, I'm the same way. I much prefer to see a band in a small venue.
It feels much more special.
Yeah, I just enjoy it more. The sound seems better. I get better seats. So it's the same thing. A theater's cool, and I'm sure if you're a band, you would love to go perform out for arena.
Yeah.
How awesome would that be? But if you want to really connect with your fans and do a cool, intimate show, that's what I like.
Yeah, I have not performed at a theater, and I can imagine everything you're saying, because it also feels like different. Like it goes from this to like this.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe that it gets like suctioned in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's also one of those things because it's so big.
And do you feel like I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you feel like you have to be bigger, or what's the adjustment there?
I definitely wasn't bigger. It is a bigger stage.
Yeah.
And that thought did go through my head, like, am I supposed to walk across this whole stage? If I'm walking, can I just stay in the middle and do my jokes? Like, that thought definitely popped in my head. I didn't perform bigger, but there's also the laughter lasts a lot longer in a theater because sometimes the jokes not only hit, but the room's so big, it'll like hit in different pockets of the room at different times. And you could hear it spreading. So you'll hear a joke hit over here, but then it'll hit there. And you have to wait for the laughs to die. So timing's different. But I think I handled it pretty good. And it's also one of those things where because it's not as intimate and it's such a big room that the laughs kind of get sucked up a little bit. And it doesn't, even when you're crushing, it doesn't feel like crushing in a comedy club, if that makes sense. So you walk off and I go, I think I did pretty good, but you don't know how good, really. Because
it was spread out.
Just because it's spread out and it's such a big, vast room. It just doesn't bounce off the walls. So you can't, like, I don't know, just the separation from doing good to really good is noticeable.
Yeah.
So I walked off and I go, I think it was good. And then I got messages like, you were amazing, blah, blah, blah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's cool, but yeah, it wasn't one of those things where I go, this is it. This is what I need. I was like, I'd be happy with comedy clubs.
And Theo and Santino's crowds are a little different.
They're different, but they're similar. It's couples. It's male dominant crowds. It's comedy fans. It's podcast listeners.
Yeah. So podcasts, you're very like, I want to say privy to. I've never said that before. But like you're very connected to like podcasting and the world. And
I'm a tech nerd.
Yeah.
And that's helped me a lot with my own comedy as well as helping out other people. I've always been a tech nerd ever since, as long as I can remember, really. Like my parents bought a computer when I was a kid.
Gateway 2000?
We had a Gateway at one point. I don't remember if it was 2000. We had an old iMac. We've had a lot of computers, and I would break it because I would be on it so much just tinkering with it and changing settings.
Wow.
And I would break it, and then my parents would have to hire a computer guy to come fix it. Eventually it got to the point where they wouldn't hire a computer guy to go fix it, so then I had to figure out how to fix it.
Oh.
And I've just always been infatuated with it. Also, my parents lived in a nice house since I was young. And because I didn't have it wasn't an attractive neighborhood where I had tons of friends to hang out with, if that makes any sense. They had their own land.
Oh.
So it's kind of a loner.
Did you grow up on a couple acres?
Yeah, it was like an acre, a little over an acre of land. And I would still hang out with friends, but I feel like most kids, they'd leave their house and go down the street and just play with the neighbors. And I didn't have that. So I had a lot of time to myself. And I would tinker with computers and
did you write code?
Stuff like that. I never wrote code, but I made websites at one point, HTML, like basic code. And I was into pirating stuff and video games. I've always just been into it. And then, and it just progressed to making websites, to editing video, to recording audio. And when I listened to a lot of comedy podcasts when I moved to LA. I built a little podcast studio in my aunt's garage, which was the first place I lived. And I was recording a podcast for just whoever wanted to do it. And it just progressed. And podcasting has been big in comedy since we started, but it's still everyone has one now, and they're popping up all the time. So then I ended up building the podcast studio at the Comedy Store. And I would help out Theo when he started, not even the podcast that got him his name, but his first podcast, which not as many people listen to, and I helped him. So he just all these people knew Ari's a podcast guy. And
you're
cool.
kind of like the new Red Band in that sense.
Yeah,
I never thought of that until now, but it
kind of. And
thank God you don't smoke pot.
I don't smoke pot. I don't drink.
Love you, Red Band.
No, Red Band's awesome, and Red Band was like a big pioneer in pot. He helped Rogan start his podcast.
Yeah.
And so people kind of, a lot of people hit me up when
you're the go-to.
I'm one of them at least. I think there's a few, but if they're in my world and they know me, they'll go, hey, I was thinking about starting a podcast. Can you help me with it?
Yeah.
And it's gotten to the point now where I'll help people get it going, but I don't even have time to help people do it every week.
Yeah.
So like even with Theo and Santino, I was like, I could give you a recommendation on what to get, but I'm not going to be there with you every week doing it.
Because the video looks incredible, whatever you recommended to them.
Thank you. Yeah, it's simple. And so I went to film school and I've used that.
Where'd you go to film school?
Comedy. UC Santa Cruz.
Oh, I wish I went to film school.
You know what? I'll say you made the right choice not going. I went to film school, and I say that just to let people know I have a film background, but I learned nothing in film school.
Really?
Yeah, I learned way more just from nerding out on YouTube tutorials and experimenting.
So you can learn that way.
Yeah, way more. Just by doing it. That's the best way to learn. Doing it, and as you do it, you realize, I wish I was able, for example, cameras. I moved out here. This is getting really nerdy talk that people are going to probably get bored of, but I moved out here with a Canon camera, which is a great starting camera. And then I realized soon after I moved here, I go, okay, well, with this Canon camera, I can't record stand-up because it shuts off after 12 minutes of recording. So I was like, okay, I need a camera that can do all the things the Canon can do, but can record for over an hour if I'm recording people's stand-up. I'm like, okay, Panasonics do that. So you just learn things as you go.
So you grew up in San Diego, and you ended up going to high school at a ROTC school?
It was, so I got sent to a military school.
Okay. So how old were you when this happened? And maybe 6 months prior to that decision was made, what was going on that made you get sent off? I
think it was even more than 6 months. I was 12 when this happened, 12 years old.
Really?
Yeah. I was about to be 13.
So you're in seventh grade?
I was 8th grade. I was 1 year young for my grade. I didn't skip a grade or anything. I just started early.
When's your birthday?
September 22nd.
Okay.
So I think I turned 13 like a week into my freshman year.
So you stayed a year back.
Like that. No, I didn't stay.
Or you were young. You were just young for a grade.
I was like a year young for my grade.
Okay,
but I wasn't because I was smart or anything. I just started early.
Okay.
So growing up, I was the firstborn kid. I'm the oldest. So my parents are learning how to parent with me. My dad's a doctor. My mom's a lawyer. They worked a lot. And my mom, everyone's got issues. My parents have issues. I have issues. You have issues. We all have issues. And my mom, she came from a troubled home herself. Her parents fought a lot. Her dad was an alcoholic. She didn't get along with her brother or sister. And she didn't get along with me either. She's not an easy person to get along with. She's
closed off?
Not closed off, but everything. She's actually a pretty open person. She reveals like too much information, kind of like you and me.
Yeah, I was gonna say kind of like.
But she
argumentative.
she's argumentative. She has to go her way. It's her way or the highway. She's an alpha female. You know, she's the dominant household member.
Do you think I'm an alpha female?
I imagine that you would be. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to get that clear. Back to you.
Yeah. I imagine that you wear the pants in your relationship. But, you know, not to say that Steven isn't a man and he'll stand up for himself, but I imagine he's the more easygoing one who goes, whatever you want, honey.
Mix of both.
Mix of both, okay.
But I don't want to, sorry, I have a problem with making things about me.
No, it's your podcast. Hear but anyway, so my mom's not an easy person to get along with, and we butt heads a lot. We would fight over everything. She would tell me to do my homework. I didn't want to do it. She told me to eat this. I didn't want to eat it. She told me to go to bed at this time. I didn't want to go to bed. I can only do this amount of time on the computer. We talked about it, which I loved. So she would limit things. I wasn't allowed to see PG-13 movies till I was 13. I wasn't allowed, which sounds silly, but like when you're when you're a kid and all your friends are watching them except you, it's like
limiting.
It felt like my life wasn't fair, even though my life was fine. I'm 20 and I'm not, I had clothes on my back. I had food on the table. I had my own bedroom. No, my parents didn't beat me. Mm-hmm. They wanted what's best for me. But I felt like they were too strict. And a lot of that has to do with your surroundings and the people who are around you. And I think I was the least spoiled of everyone in my rich white neighborhood.
Really?
And I had the strictest parents of anyone that I knew. Mm-hmm. And it made me kind of lash out. It made me say, you're not the boss of me. Fuck you. I do whatever I want. I'm my own man. That's also like, everyone thinks they're a man before they're a man. Everyone thinks they're a funny comedian before they're a funny comedian. Everyone thinks they're ready for things before they're not.
Did you have a bar mitzvah?
I did.
Okay. Where do you think all of that came from?
My rebelliousness?
Yeah.
I think it just came from my parents being a little overbearing. Mm-hmm. I think it was partly that, and they were gone all the time, so I was on my own a lot, and I've never liked being told what to do, and I don't think my mom liked being told what. Maybe it came from my mom. She always had kind of a problem with authority figures, and she always stood up for herself when things weren't fair and weren't right. Mm-hmm. And I never felt like, even to this day, every time I would say to my mom, like, fuck you, you're a bitch, or you're not the boss of me, like horrible things that a kid shouldn't say to their mom, I never felt like I was being a horrible kid. I felt like I was standing up for myself. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was being fair. I was never just a little bitch kid for no reason.
Yeah, you weren't a pushover.
I was like, this isn't fair.
Yeah.
I want what's fair. So it got to the point where we were just at each other's throats. I hated her.
And you have a younger brother.
I have two younger brothers. And so at this time in my life, I had Milan, who's mm-hmm. now 24, but let's say I was 11. He was probably 6 years old. So he was a little kid. And then I had my other brother, Jonah, who was probably like 1 year old at this point.
Did you find, okay, so we can't say the same for Jonah because he was too young, but even 6 years old is a little young. Did you find that you were punished more?
Yes. I was the oldest. I was punished more than my younger brothers for sure. They had it better than me. Also, I'm sure my parents weren't happy that I was being so rebellious and setting a bad example for Milan, who's 6.
But he's like a very good boy.
He is because, remember, I moved out of the house when he was 6 or 7.
Okay.
So there's that. He saw from my mistakes. He saw mm-hmm. me getting punished, and he goes, I'm not going to do that. He was less stubborn than me. He was more easygoing, like, I'll just do what they want so that I have it better.
So, because I
smarter. He was smarter.
Because I relate to you. Like, I was like considered a bad kid, and I was very rebellious. Mm-hmm. But I was like the only one who was punished, and my brother was 2 years older than me, and I never really got punished. I mean, he never really got punished.
Part of it's being a girl, probably.
But I was always punished. I think part of it was because he grew up in special ed. He was dyslexic.
Oh, that could definitely be part of it.
And he had learning disabilities, and I think that my parents didn't want to make him feel like bad.
Maybe as fucked up as it sounds, they're like, he has learning disabilities. Let's just get him through it. You have more potential, and we want to see.
Yeah, so he never got punished.
And
I was the only one who got punished, and I feel like it was because they didn't want to like make him feel any worse than he did for having to be in like a separate class sort of thing. That was my take on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think your parents are the only ones that could really answer that, but I think there's probably some truth to that if you felt it and witnessed it. And I definitely felt like my parents were stricter on me, but I think it was just, I always thought I'm the oldest. I'm a fuck up. I used to have the thought like they're married because of me. They didn't even want to get married.
Really?
My mom got pregnant. Because
did you overhear something? Or
no,
you just came
but I had that thought that I'm like,
I'm a fuck up.
I'm a fuck up and that they're together because of me, and they don't they kind of subconsciously blame me for their life.
Did they not get along?
They argued a lot. They're still married to this day, so they weren't a horrible couple. They're not a horrible couple. They sleep in the same bed.
But you took on a lot for being a 12-year-old boy, a narrative with a lot of blame.
Yeah, and I felt like my mom had it out for me.
Okay.
And I don't think she did now. I just think that we were both stubborn people. I don't think she had it out for me, but we had it out for each other a little bit. And it got to the point where we couldn't. She called the cops on me.
For what?
A couple times. There was one point where we were in a big fight, and I said, "I'm going to kill you."
Whoa!
But it was like a kid saying, "I'm going to kill you." Like,
yeah,
I wasn't really,
but that's a little off.
Nah,
no,
it sounds off, but it really wasn't.
Okay.
It's probably something I had said 100 times, and like it was a little kid saying, "I'm going to kill you." I didn't have a knife. It was just and she called the cops for a death threat. It was just to fuck with me.
Yeah.
And she did that. I forget the other reasons. I think I broke a window one time.
Mm-hmm. I broke a window with a pool stick.
Yeah, I think she locked. Here's what she did. She locked me out of the computer room because I liked being on the computer, and she didn't want me to be on it. So she locked the computer room, and I was like, "This is bullshit. I have nothing to do." I was bored. So I went around and I broke into the computer room through the window.
Would she take away your parental controls on AOL to punish you?
Well, I knew I would do that to her. I would put parental controls on her computer.
Yeah.
When she would put it on mine.
That was my punishment.
I was more
it would drive
savvy.
Me crazy.
I remember she limited my computer, so I was like, "Oh, you're going to limit me? Then I'm going to limit you." And I put shit like that.
Yeah. So what happened? Was there one big thing that happened that made her say she wanted to send you off?
No, it wasn't. So we'd fight all the time, and I would always say to her, "I want to be emancipated. I don't want you to be my mom. I don't love you. I hate you." I would say it all the time because we were at each other's throats. I'd say, "I want to go to boarding school. I want to be emancipated. Anything. I just need to get out of here." So finally, it got to the point where it just wasn't comfortable to be in the house with each other. Mm-hmm. It was just horrible. We'd push each other. We were at each other's throats. I refused to come out of my room. Things like that. So we went around to boarding schools around the country to look at them. They wanted what was best for me. They wanted to do their research. So I remember we went to the Army Navy Academy in Carlsbad, which is in San Diego. We looked at it. We went to this boarding school here in Ojai in LA, and we went to New Mexico Military Institute in Roswell, New Mexico.
Why military? Why Army Navy?
So I think they decided after we went to Ojai, which wasn't military, they decided that if they're going to send me away, they want it to be somewhere that'll give me structure and discipline, because they felt like if I went to a regular boarding school, it would just be too fun for me and not strict enough.
They want you to learn manners.
They thought I was a bad kid, and they wanted to shape me up. So I remember saying I want to go to the school in Ojai.
Yeah,
was my first choice, only because it was the only non-military school we looked at, but it had a good reputation, which is why I looked at it. And my mom said, "Listen, if you want to leave so bad, you're gonna have to go to a military school. I'm not sending you to a camp."
And how did you feel about a military school?
I was just so ready to leave that situation that I was in that I ended up going, "Fine, I want military school." And then my first military school pick was Army and Navy Academy, because it was in my hometown of San Diego. It was on the beach. I was scared. I was a 12-year-old kid. I didn't want to go to the middle of the country. I wanted to be near my family and my friends that I had. But the Army Navy Academy was like $30,000 a year. It was very expensive, price of college. It had a bad reputation for drugs and alcohol, of fuck-ups getting sent there. Whereas the New Mexico Military Institute was the cheapest military school in the country. It was like $11,000 a year. That included room, board, everything. They had a deal with all the top military schools, colleges in the country, so you can get accepted into West Point, the Naval Academy, the Air Force Academy. It was called the West Point of the West. Mm-hmm. A lot of military families went there. It was just a much stricter, it had a really good reputation, the school, of being one of the cheapest but best military schools in the country. So they go, that's the one you can go to. So I went to the school with them, and it looked awesome. I was excited to go. It was like I was really into sports at the time. I played baseball a lot. I played basketball. I played football. I played all the sports. And they had like Olympic facilities. They had everything. Olympic swimming pool. They had a full track and field meet. They had a full 18-hole golf course on the school. They had tennis courts. They had horseback riding. You name it, they had it. And it was impressive. And the school was really clean, really well kept. Everyone was really nice.
You had no idea the students were cleaning it.
No idea the students were cleaning it.
Right?
It was just, you go there and it's impressive. It was this old building. It was built in 1891. So it looks like a brick castle kind of.
Wow.
It used to be a military base. It's the biggest thing in the whole city of Roswell. And there's statues, there's horses and military stuff. And also I'm a 12-year-old kid. It's like there's guns, there's military. It just looked kind of badass. And you go there, and I'm meeting kids in the school, and they were in military uniforms. They're like, this place is awesome. We play sports as much as you want. We have the best sports teams in the state. A lot of kids go to sports scholarships to colleges. We shoot guns all the time. There's no parents here. There's no adults. The seniors in high school are the bosses of you. So I was like, all right, let's do it. Sign me up. The food was good. We went to the cafeteria. The food was good. Sign me up. So my parents dropped me off at school. They left. And that was it. I went back to the guy. I remember this guy. His name was First Sergeant Castro. He was a senior in high school. He was like an offensive lineman on the football team. He was like a big Mexican dude. And in front of my parents, he's like, "Oh, ma'am, this place is so great. I'm gonna treat your son like my younger brother." I never had a brother. I was like, "That's an older brother." He was just really friendly to me, and I went to him because I remember him. He was so nice. And I was like, "Hey, my parents left. I'm here. I'm doing it." And he goes, "Your parents left?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Stand at attention." And if you don't know what attention is, it's somewhere you need to stand at attention. It's a military position, and that means you are looking straight ahead. Your back is straight. Your arms are straight. Your hands are cupped at the seam of your pants. Your heels are touching together at a 45-degree angle. And I didn't know what that meant. I just didn't prepare. Even though I knew I was going to military school or that I could potentially be going, when I went there,
You didn't know it was actually going to be like that.
Yeah, I just
you didn't put
I was very ill prepared. I was 12 years old. I didn't do homework and research to go to the school. I didn't look up military commands and what exactly it would be. I just looked at the general idea of things and went for it. So he says, "Stand at attention." I said, "I don't know what that is." So he comes up to me. He gets me in attention. He's yelling at me, "Stand at attention." And I'm doing it, and basically what proceeds to happen for the next 9 weeks is boot camp. And I wasn't really told about that either.
They forgot to mention that.
They didn't really mention boot camp. They said that you would have training when you get there. But yeah, I was a kid. That's really what it came down to. I was a naive kid that was uninformed. And it was basically 9 weeks of boot camp, of yelling, PT in the morning. They shaved my head. I was bald, completely bald. We had to wear short shorts, high socks, T-shirt, this goofy baseball hat. We had to carry around a little booklet with all our commands and things that we had to memorize and codes of the school. They'd say we'd have to memorize this full book of stuff for the school. So they'd say read page 10, paragraph 4, and we'd have to know it off the top of our heads. Crazy shit like that. You'd always have to have a full water bottle.
And if you
mess it up, you have to do push-ups and you get yelled at. But really, that's 9 weeks. No matter what you do, you get yelled at and you have to do push-ups the whole 9 weeks.
And punishments for, like, besides push-ups, what were some of the other?
Running, punishments. You have to do...
Like preseason stuff. If you were on a sports team, like preseason training.
Preseason training, but to the next level.
Okay.
It was like, people were puking from being over-exercised.
Wow.
And they're yelling at your face.
Yeah.
They're yelling in your... These big seniors in high school are yelling at you, telling you what to do. And you're called a rat too. It's called Rat Week, even though they call it Rat Week. It's 9 weeks. Mm-hmm. Rat Week is 9 weeks, and they yell at you. They call you a rat. You have to ask for permission to do anything. If you want to go to the bathroom, you have to pop to it. It's called. You yell at the top of your head, "Excuse me, sir, cadet recruit Mannis." My last name was Handel-Mannis because my mom's a feminazi. So I'd say, "Cadet recruit Handel Mannis. A, request permission to go to the bathroom." You have to yell that at the top of your lungs, and then they'd fuck with you. They'd say, "Do it again, wasn't loud enough."
Wow.
If you walk by an officer, you have to salute them. You have to know the proper way to salute an officer, and you have to hold your salute until they salute you back. Mm-hmm. And when you're a rat, they would just fuck with you and make you hold it.
So as a rebellious kid coming into this, how many days, and I'm sure in the beginning you were like, fuck you, and then you probably got your ass handed to you. How many...
Honestly, I never did. I never did do the fuck you thing because
you knew right away something was off.
I knew right away that wasn't going to work. Also, I was scared and intimidated. I was 12 years old, and I remember I was under 100 pounds, and they put you in... It was dorms, and they put you in roommates based on your weight. So, like, me and my roommate were the two smallest kids in the school, two smallest boys in school, because they do that in case you fight with your roommate, that, like, a 200-pound guy isn't going to kill me. So it's the two lightest guys. That way we couldn't hurt each other as bad. And I was scared, I never said fuck you to the guy because he was, like, a 200-pound senior in high school that looked like he was ready to beat the shit out of me. Mm-hmm. So I listened as best as I could.
So immediately you took to the discipline.
Kind of, but I was so weak.
Or kind of was submissive to the instructions and followed suit.
Yeah, I did it the best I could. I was really weak. I remember I was able to do like 5 or 10 push-ups. Now, at the end of Rat Week, I was able to do like 70.
Wow.
Something like at the end of the 9 weeks. So I was a weak kid. I listened. I cried a lot, not in public, of course, not around the other people, but I would get to my room. And
what happened if someone did cry in front of?
It's just embarrassing. You're with your classmates, not only the other rats. So it's like if you cry, it makes you look lame because they're not crying and they're going through the same thing as you. You're doing it as a troop. So you're doing it with like 60 other people, and there's 12 troops in the school.
What was one of the worst torture or punishments did you witness or hear about?
Well, there was a few things they do to punish you. So PT is the number one form of punishment, physical training. So that means push-ups, sit-ups, running, doing drills with your rifle. You carried around these old rifles that were from the 40s, and they weighed like 12 pounds. They were like heavy. They're not heavy when you pick them up for a second, but when you carry around for hours and hours and hours, they get really heavy. If you get in trouble on the weekends, after Rat Week, other people get to like chill on the weekends, go get lunch, do their homework, do whatever you want. If you get in trouble, you would have to, while everyone has their free time, you'd dress up in camouflage, heavy boots, and your rifle, and you'd march around in a square for hours.
Wow.
Not talking. When you go around the school, you're not allowed to talk. You have to look straight ahead. You have to march everywhere for the whole year, the whole first year you're there. But what made my first year even more hell, it was already hell for me, was my mom came to visit one time, and she saw someone in my squad got branded by my squad leader.
Branded meaning burned?
Burned with a lighter. And she was just like, hey, what happened to your arm? And he goes, oh, yeah, my squad leader branded me to remember the school. And, like, what actually happened was it's just kids being kids and playing around with lighters. And he's like, I'm going to brand you. And we could have said no, but he said, yeah, brand me.
Okay.
So he got branded. And then my mom called the school about that. And then they pulled me in the office and talked to me about it. And then the squad leader who branded him got in big trouble. Didn't get kicked out of school, but got demoted. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Looking back, it was boys being boys. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But then I was labeled as a rat for the whole year, like a snitch.
Yeah.
Even though it was my mom.
Yeah. So what did that mean for you? How were you punished for that?
I wasn't actually punished for it, but I was without official punishments. You know what I mean? Like, I would get teased constantly, even more than I already did for being the only Jewish kid in Roswell, New Mexico. People would take out their anger on me and make me do extra PT. This guy had been there for 4 years, and I just kind of ruined his life, in a sense. Like, he got demoted. He built up this status that he was at, and he had to start all over because of me. In his head, I was this guy who snitched on him. So, people would beat me up and make me do PT and just made my life as hard as they could. And it was hard. And I remember, even before that, I had already called my mom crying, begging to go home. But then
and what happened? Don't they tell your mom that don't believe them? They're going to say it's really hard.
I don't know if they told my mom anything, but I signed up for this thing. My mom was thinking, I got to finish it out, see what it does. Also, if I left halfway through the semester, it would have been weird. I would have then been set back in high school. Yeah. Like a grade behind or whatever. So she said, you got to stick it out.
So did you stay there until senior year and graduate?
No, I stayed there. So I finished my first year. And then I actually ended up wanting to go back another year because I wouldn't be a rat anymore.
Do you think that was like a Stockholm syndrome sort of thing?
I think it is partly that.
Yeah.
It's what you know. And it's kind of like in the comedy scene, what we do at the Comedy Store, for example, where you start at open mics and then you get friends and family and you're like, I want my name on the wall, and you want to build to
you wanted to go up in the
status.
Ranks.
And same thing with the military. Mm-hmm. When you're in the military, you start as a private and you go, man, it'd be cool to be a corporal. Look at all the extra money and rank they get and the privileges. And you go, oh, imagine if I was an officer. How cool would that be? But in retrospect, if you go to a normal high school, you have all the freedoms of the highest ranks of a military school. Yeah. But you're kind of in that world, and then they brainwash you a little bit. Like, not brainwash you, but
yeah, they do.
It's not, I don't think it's brainwashed, but it's just everyone there loves America and loves the military. So and everyone there had been in the military. All the teachers were prior military, or a lot of them. There's all these military people there. So I remember leaving that school wanting to join the military. Uh-huh. Like, I had Marine recruiters come to my parents' house when I was 17. My mom started crying.
Really?
Yeah. And she's like, I'm not signing it, because you had to get your parents to sign it if you weren't 18.
You wanted to go?
I was ready. I literally had the contract at my parents' house. 2 Marine recruiters came over.
Why didn't you want to sign it?
Because I was a kid.
At 17?
I was 17. And not only was I a kid, like, in the neighborhood I grew up at, kids don't join the military. Right. They're all their parents are millionaires. Right. And rich people, there's not a lot of rich people in the military, because the military kind of appeals to poor people who think they're going to, I don't know,
serve for their country.
Serve for their country, but also they get, it's a job. It's a decent job. What would you say?
So, how long did you end up going there for?
So I ended up going there for 2 years.
Okay.
After the second year, back to me being a ladies' man, I kissed my first girl.
When you got out?
Not even. I was planning on going back for my junior year of high school, but I was working at a tennis and surf camp. Mm-hmm. And I ended up kissing this girl, and we were hooking up. She was like, just moved there from Chicago, had a boyfriend back in Chicago. And I kissed her, and she didn't know it was my first kiss, or at least I didn't tell her. And then I was like instantly obsessed with girls.
And then you're like, I want to fucking be out.
I want to not go back to military school. There's no girls there. So, and then I was gone that whole summer. Some of my parents were like, hey, you can stay if you want. You've really behaved yourself this summer.
Yeah. So what was your relationship like your mother, or how had it changed after being in the school?
It's one of those things where we get along pretty well when we're not around each other.
Okay.
So we thought, we're getting along better. But it's not that we were getting along better. It's that we just weren't around each other to fight.
No, but when you were back in home.
Same thing. I was gone. I was working at this camp, and then I was with this girl.
But what about when school was in session?
So when school started up again, we started fighting again.
Okay.
So military school did not work in the sense where it like helped me and my parents' relationship. And I like held a grudge too.
Of course, yeah.
For being sent there. But initially we're like, we're getting along better, so you could come back. But then I came back and realized.
What did you take away from the school? Like, in what ways did it change you, or what sort of like disciplinary or structure did you learn, and do you apply any of that stuff to your life today?
I think subconsciously I probably do, because they did push you at that school, and it was very regimented, and you got a lot done. And if there was an opportunity you wanted to do, whether that be school, sports, extracurriculars, they had it. They had a lot of that there, and they encouraged you to do it. So there's part of that. And then also, I was in the best shape of my life, and that made me a lot more confident. When I was leaving there, I was like, I know what shape I could be in and how strong I could be. So that was pretty cool. And I don't know, it's just I don't think looking back, there's anything that I keep doing because of it or anything like that, but it made me grow up really fast.
Yeah.
Like when I got back, I felt like I had lived on my own for 2 years, because I had. There were no adults. There was no one cooking me dinner. There was no one cleaning my room for me. I had to clean my room. I had to live on my own. So when I got back, I felt even more independent and more of a man, and I think I did. I don't know, forced me to grow up a little early.
Yeah, I went to boarding school briefly when I was 15 too. I got sent away to Switzerland, and when I came back, I felt like light years ahead of everyone. Yeah, I felt like so much more mature. But like we were allowed to check out for the weekends and go off to Italy without anyone. You know what I mean?
Was that the time of your life, or what?
Yeah, it was like I was just like.
That was the experience I was hoping for, I think.
Yeah.
Your experience. Yeah.
It was really fun, but I got bad grades, so it was way too expensive. Right. They didn't want to send me back. But it was incredible that I went, and I think that like that definitely made me the person I am today. So I'm sure you kind of have that same feeling in a way. I mean, obviously all the things that happened to us in those years. I was going to say formative, but I wasn't sure if that was an earlier time or not.
Yeah, it's definitely those developing years as I'm going through puberty. Yeah. As I'm going through puberty, I'm living on my own. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe not, I can't consciously say how it's changed me, but it probably has.
How has growing up wealthy affected your work ethic?
I don't think it did, because it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, where even though I grew up wealthy, I never felt like it because I wasn't spoiled. Okay. And my parents were very strict, and I think they've always had this thing where they don't want us to be, I never flew first class until a few months ago for my first time going on the road.
Oh, I feel like I saw the post.
Yeah, that was my first time.
Really?
Flying first class. I never had a TV in my room. I never got whatever I wanted. I didn't have nice shoes. I feel like I was, I had a good life. I'm not complaining. Yeah. But in that moment, I didn't feel like, I get whatever I want. My first car, when I turned 16, I used my dead uncle's car. And it wasn't mine. It was like my parents' car, but they would let me use it to drive to school. It was like a 1993 Camry. Everyone else at my school was driving around new BMWs. You know, I was never...
Did you go to that school that Andrew Cunanan went to?
Who's Andrew Cunanan?
He's the guy who killed Versace, assassination of Gianni Versace. He was from La Jolla, but there was a private school he went to.
Wow. No, so when I went back to school, I went to Torrey Pines High School, which is the public school.
Public school, okay.
In Del Mar. It's a nice public school. I think Tony Hawk went there, Shaun White, Taylor Williamson, who we know at the Comedy Store, Joe Sinclitico. A lot of professional skateboarders and stuff were there, and it was in a good, nice area of town. But there were a lot of rich kids at that school, and I probably had this. I mean, there were plenty of people who didn't have cars to use at all. Period. But I had the shittiest car. I never felt. Looking back now, when I moved and when I went to that military school, when I went away to college, and now that I have other friends and learn about them and how they grew up, I realized, I did grow up pretty privileged. But when I'm in that privileged world growing up, and it's all I know, I never felt it.
Yeah, that's good that they didn't completely spoil you, because I do think work ethic is tied into growing up wealthy sometimes. Because it's interesting, like there's one comic at the store who grew up very wealthy, but he's very hardworking.
Yeah.
So that I'm always like, I'm surprised by that. But then I know someone else on the other end, and they're not very hardworking.
Yeah, I think it also, if your parents were really hardworking, like if you came from rich parents who maybe had family money, so they didn't work hard, that could probably shape you. But my parents worked really hard.
Yeah.
So I witnessed that, and maybe that transferred to me.
If it's your parents themselves who worked, if they're self-made, that's a good point.
That could, I'm just guessing.
I would guess too. Yeah, that makes sense.
Another thing is my parents never gave me money, ever. Not when I was 16, not now, not ever. They've never, I'm not saying, for my birthday, they'll give me some cash, or
but
if I was in a real rut, needed to borrow money. But yeah, if I said, hey, I'm going to the mall with my friends, can I have $100 to go shopping? No, not happening. Yeah. When I moved to LA, hey, I don't have a job. Can you pay my rent for me for the first year while I get settled? No, absolutely not. I've always had to.
Well, that's good that they were like that.
Yeah.
And
some people make assumptions. Like I'll take people, when I go if we do shows in San Diego, I'll take people to their house and we'll crash. They'll of course let me crash there whenever I want for free and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then they go, you probably get money from your parents. No.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I work.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, that's the good thing that came out of their parenting. Just kidding.
Yeah. but no, of course, when you're 18, I'm like, you're rich. Just give me money.
What's your relationship like today with your parents?
I'd say overall it's good. I don't think we're as close as the closest family you've ever seen. I don't say I love you to them all the time. I don't go home every chance I get. But when we're together, we get along. We'll go out to eat. They'll come visit me. They've been to some of my shows.
Do you look back on those? What's like your general feeling when you look back on being in Roswell?
Overall, I'd say it was good. I don't. When I think back on it, I don't think, I wish I could take it back. I think it was good for me, and I'd like to even go. I miss certain things. Like I would like to go just visit and see it again as an adult and get some of the food that I remember in that city.
But would you ever send your kid to something like that?
I think I would.
Really?
I wouldn't force them to go.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I wouldn't force them to go. I wouldn't. First off, I wouldn't send a girl there.
Yeah.
Ever, because it was a co-ed school. There were some girls there. Would never send a girl there. But if it was a boy, and it was something he wanted to do, and was interested in, I would. My brothers, I remember when I would visit my parents, I would encourage my brothers to go too.
I could never imagine Milan there.
And they wanted nothing to do with it. Milan and Jonah, my two younger brothers.
Why Milan? Why does he have that name? That's not a Jewish name.
My grandfather's name was Milton.
Oh, okay.
And so I was named after my dad's dad, whose name was Aaron. But in the Jewish religion, you can't name someone the exact same name.
What's with the A's?
What do you mean?
So there has to be like an A is like an important part of Jewish names.
I don't know that much about it. I just know I was named after a guy named Aaron, my grandfather who died before I was born. And then Milan was named after my other grandfather who was named Milton.
What was your bar mitzvah theme?
My bar mitzvah theme was, I had it when I was in 8th grade. We rented out the community neighborhood rental space in my neighborhood. There was a lake with paddle boats. There was a dance floor with DJ. We had Domino's pizza catered. I remember, everyone, every other kid had like fancy hotel, like really fancy catering. But I was a really weird eater, and I've always loved fast food and junk. And I said, I want Domino's. And my parents gave it to me because it's what I wanted. And I had Domino's pizza, Pat and Oscar's breadsticks, and what's that place called? What's it? Panda Express.
So your theme was Middle America?
That was the food. So for the kids and then for the adults, they got real food.
Yeah.
But the kids all had like junk fast food.
That's funny.
And then I had someone doing airbrush T-shirts.
Ooh.
I had a DJ. I think I had a casino, like a fake casino with poker and blackjack and chips.
Ari's Monte Carlo corner.
Yeah, so I didn't have a one theme thing. I just had a bunch
that's
of
a lot
cool
of
activities.
I don't know what to make.
It was a big party. I think it was a fun. I remember it being a fun night.
I love it. Well, Ari, thank you so much. I think we'll end there, right? I have
That's
to pee
the end
again.
of part 1.
Yeah, that's the end of part 1.
There's so much more that's happened.
I know. I have to pee again, though.
Okay.
So
we could end it.
We'll end it here, but we will do a part 2.
Okay.
And Ari, do you have any upcoming dates that people can come out and see you at? And where can we find you on social media?
I'm going to be in Phoenix, Arizona. Go to arimannis.com, 2 N's in Mannis, to see my dates. I'm going to be in Phoenix, San Jose, California, and Kansas City, Missouri.
Ooh.
Fun.
Love it. And what's your social media?
Oh, just my name, at Ari Mannis, ARIMANNIS. And if you follow me, send me a message and say you heard me on this podcast because I like attention, I like love, and I want to know that people listen to this, that I didn't do it for nothing. And same thing with send Chelsea a message and tell her you listen to the podcast. Let us know that you appreciate what we do. And if it doesn't cost you any money to do that and we like it, because we're attention whores.
We do like that.
Yeah.
I've been getting some of those messages recently, and I love them. Thank you guys so much for reaching out. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes.
On iTunes, that's right.
We need some rates and reviews.
Leave some rates and reviews. Let us know that you heard us and that you appreciate us. We need your love, and we need it now.
And we will let you know in return that you were heard as well.
Poke me on Facebook.
And if you're a girl looking for a date, let Ari know.
No scrubs, though. Gotta be cute.
A scrub is a guy who thinks they're fly, who's also known as a busta.
That's right. I don't want. I don't want some the TLC song. Yeah. I don't want some girl out there send me a message. No, I do. Okay, send me a message, no matter who you are.
Thank you. Bye.